Welcome to another episode of the Hyperloop Impact. I am Harsha Singh, a member of the team of the Global Hyperloop competition. And today we have a truly special guest, Kumar Prasoon, the CIO of Twin. Sir is recognized as one of the global topmost CIOs in the Middle East and Africa and Asia and also at the international level. Twin is leading the charge in AI, IoT, blockchain, and predictive analysis, all of which is crucial to making Hyperloop a reality. So, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you very much, Arsha. It's an honor to be here, and I'm so elated and excited to talk about a lot of synergies between the Hyperloop technology and the modern digital twins, augmented generative AI, and large language models, which can really create the next generation infrastructure of mobility. So that's what it does. So thank you very much for having me here.
Great, sir. We're honored to have you here too. So, now that you've mentioned digital twin, why
Yeah.
don't we get talking about your company Twin? What it does, the purpose, the goal, and how did it all start?
Wonderful. So, twin, interestingly, if you see that, it's TWYN, right? We wanted to create something very, very unique and significant, so that its application is paramount to different industries. So, if we ask in one word, what we do is we create a virtual replica of a typical critical asset, straight to the point. And that critical asset is already having data emanating from multiple sources. Yeah? I mean, this can be your physical systems, your SCADA systems, we call it, OT systems, operational technology systems. You call your industrial systems, and then your application systems like ERP and softwares, applications, IoT data, cloud data, all of these together. So we aggregate all these data in a data lake, and now you have an industrial BIM, which is the Industrial Building Information BIM certified 3D model, virtual replica, where we integrate all these data with the business KPIs. So what is going to happen is your critical asset is actually having the right kind of parameters which are needed for the smooth functioning of your operations. Initially, you have got multiple applications where you are getting all these scenarios, but in the 2D model, right? And another thing is, still most of the industries are having the data which is manual keyed in. Imagine you have the write the data, and that to AI driven data transformed happening from the source and then getting in a data lake and then finally feeding it in a 3D format. The value is humongous, and that's why digital twins. Now coming back to the mobility sector,
Yeah.
imagine the whole thing, the whole modeling. Now you have imagine in a country like in a massive country like India, you have multiple hyperloops which are running, and then if you want to exactly see how the conditional based monitoring or predictive maintenance is going to happen for any of your scenarios, you can model those scenarios, right?
Right.
So like a 3D movie, you can definitely see that, okay, so this hyperloop is going here, just like trains, tuck 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 tuck, tuck. And you say, okay, this is the asset problem. You can visualize. Not only that, you can this whole thing, the whole system can help the the teams to get galvanized into spontaneous action so that the right kind of proper procedures can be taken. Yeah. So just to summarize how the synergies can happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, sir. So you mentioned that it seems like a 3D movie, but does the digital twin also have features where you can just break down Hyperloop, understand every single component, incorporate in it, and then uh, essentially use that to manufacture a real life Hyperloop? Uh,
Absolutely brilliant question you asked. So interestingly, the role of digital twins. Okay, now I'll just take a step back.
yeah.
So okay, right from the concept to commissioning, to maintenance, to SLAs, to post deployment. all of these, the digital twins can be used. I'll give you like a very powerful explanation of this. Imagine when you are building forget about Hyperloop manufacturing. Let's talk about Hyperloop infrastructure first. So you will do some kind of planning of that infrastructure, how the Hyperloop is going to run, right? So
Right.
now that planning needs a lot of PMC and EPC, which is the engineering procurement and construction, and PMC, which is the project management consulting. That's also you need virtual replica of the whole model, how the infrastructure is going to be
Right.
there. I'm talking about the EPC and PMC, which is the core of engineering. So in the core engineering, the digital twins has a huge, humongous value. That's the fundamental. So I'm not talking about manufacturing right now. I'm talking about. So I'm talking about. I'm talking about the humongous manufacturing, which is basically the next step of the PMC process. Okay. Now imagine once you have already deployed this infrastructure, the next step is the component manufacturing, the way you mentioned, yeah. So
Right.
now what you do is for the whole Hyperloop, you create a which I call it the virtual prototyping. So you have a virtual prototype of the whole Hyperloop. You have the various components defined. You have and all the systems and subsystems and electrical machines and all the electronic machines and triple E, all those scenarios, all the cabling scenarios, the pipelines, everything. So now you can define all those parts and components and sub assemblies, all of them together. So you can have a component wise understanding of how this whole thing is going to happen,
Right.
and you can get to the level of what is the width, what's the thickness, what's the size. You understand what I mean? So and you can turn around just like in simulation that you do. You turn around. You can even do the FEM, BEM, which is the finite element method, boundary element method analysis of the mechanical structures.
Right.
You can do the so the whole engineering, the whole game is engineering, right? So the whole engineering simulation and modeling, that makes a lot of advantage there.
Right.
I just gave you a scenario how from the fundamentals to manufacturing, and then from manufacturing to deployment. Now deployment is once you deploy the whole Hyperloop and how you run it. So now it's all about the operations. Of course, in your command center, you can have the remote operations monitoring for you. The way I mentioned to you, you can have the remote operations monitoring for the whole Hyperloop. And also, when you are doing the remote operations monitoring, definitely you have a critical asset risk management or risk resilience kind of center in which any kind of fire and safety, any kind of other issues or scenarios that can be modeled, and you will get all kind of critical risk events, critical events notifications, and you exactly know what notifications, and you can go for the RCU or root cause analysis and the kappa analysis of that event, and that will also trigger the right kind of remedial processes. So yeah.
Right. So that was actually that explained a lot as to how you can bring Hyperloop implementation via digital twins. Now that let's focus more about how your company started and the challenges you had to face to first develop it and then actually reach a stage here where you become so successful and you're driving something like
Yeah.
AI IoT.
So one of the major reasons for reaching where we reach so far is the beautiful combination of core engineering and the core engineering like mechanical, electrical, civil, triple E, EC, all this core engineering, and the knowledge of computer science and IT. Yeah. So and then basically marrying both of them with the AI and bringing the whole circuitry together to the 3D model. So I think that had been one of the reasons. One is the definitely and second reason had been strategic alliances with domain partners like we had experts in oil and gas, experts in manufacturing who exactly knew the subject, how things are going to happen, and those guys help us a lot in building the right kind of KPIs and the business domain and how those business domain can be mapped to the technology. Also, we are very proud that we partnered with some of the IITs, where we had good exchange of knowledge, with the professors and with the students and some of the researchers. Definitely, that also helped us a lot in creating the right kind of value. We also got a new perspective of how we should be executing things. And last but not the least, the industry academia partnerships, uh, industry partnerships, industry government partnerships, a lot of events that we participated, a lot of CXO communities that we went. They also provide us a lot of feedback and a lot of success to us. Yeah.
Right. So now we'll move on to Hyperloop. Let's focus on Hyperloop. Before anything else, I'd like to know what your understanding of Hyperloop is. It's a
Okay.
very, very basic question, but this is something that most people aren't able to grasp. Or even if they do, it's just a very vague image. So I'd like to know what you think of Hyperloop.
Wow. What I think of Hyperloop, I think is a next generation. In simple line, is the next generation of mobility infrastructure. That in one word. People, because I, um, I mean, people are trying to learn. They're very curious about what Hyperloop technology is all about. But what is more important is that how things are happening. How things are happening. How Hyperloop technology is actually taking a leap in the current scenarios. See, I'll tell you. So there was in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they were planning a Hyperloop, right? So basically they made the infrastructure. So they had the what do you call the pods, right? So basically so then and then they had been trials for a while. For India, is I think definitely. I mean, you'll be the right person to talk about how things are happening from your side. But I see a lot of interest towards adoption of mobility technologies, and that's why a lot of manufacturing outsourcing is happening to India.
Right.
And because of that, I see, and people like you. I recently went to IIT Madras, and I saw the IIT Madras Innovation Center, and the kind of innovations that you guys have done is amazing. I mean, kudos to all your entire team. And Avishkar Hyperloop also. I mean, the forerunner, I should say, the Hyperloop technology. I mean, you guys.
Yes.
I heard that you guys have also created some test line. So you have already
Yes, right.
created that, and definitely on my next visit would love to see that. So in simple words, it's a mobility technology which has to be adapted, but now again it depends on the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and economic scenario which is going to drive that. Anyway, if I ask you the same question, Arshia, how much you are ready? Why? Because then I think this will make more interactive session. How much you are ready with your research to deploy that in India?
Sir, as of now, as somebody who's just entered Hyperloop, I just know about two major concepts that govern. One is vacuum propulsion and the other is magnetic levitation.
Yes.
And given what I see every day, I see Avishkar Hyperloop actually working towards maglev and vacuum propulsion.
Yeah.
And the team that you mentioned at Thayur, which is as of now stands as the longest operational student-run tube, that is where we are actually employing uh, vacuum propulsion. So we are on the verge of actually testing out how vacuum propulsion will work. Magnetic levitation is something we've achieved. So if this works out, and when things go well, that is when we can say that yes, we've understood Hyperloop truly, and we are just almost there towards actual implementation.
Right.
Because
So
all we have to do is just scale it up now.
yeah. So they were trying to do the same thing. They created that magnetic levitation, but that vacuum thing is definitely So that is an area which needs a lot of more precision and research. Yeah. So I think, and yeah, all the best to you guys. Maybe we can help each other. So in getting more deeper into that subject. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, one thing is, would you rather prefer supersonic jets or high speed rails?
I mean, I'll prefer both because I'll tell you. See, if depends on which economy you are talking about. Because when we are talking, so I'm based out of Abu Dhabi. You're based out of India. So depends on the type of economy you're talking about. So if the question is just as a personal question, what you will prefer?
Yeah, it is just a personal question.
Okay, not as a country or not as a place, no, right, which is going to
No,
be beneficial.
no,
Okay.
just in general.
Uh, if that technology which I saw that you can go from anywhere to anywhere in 30 minutes, if that exists, and if that's happening, I think that will be more beneficial for sure. But high speed trains are okay. So that was again a very personal thing. That was very personal
Yeah,
thing. If I can go from London to Singapore in 30 minutes, or New York to Australia in 30 minutes or 32 minutes, it's something like happening like this, right? So you go like this and you land. So if that's happening, that's amazing. But to run the economy of any country, Arshia, I think high-speed trains make a lot of sense, and that's where my interest in Hyperloop technology is very, very, I mean, profound. Why? Because I think that's how it's gonna leverage it, Arshia. So, from an economy point of view, because I believe that anything that you do, any innovation that you do, that should impact the people and community, right? So I think high speed trains make a lot of sense there, and definitely Hyperloop technology, if properly, if it comes, if this project sees sunshine, it's going to create a lot of value in the whole Indian ecosystem.
right, sir. All right. Now that we've explored what Hyperloop is and we've understood what Hyperloop is, and now that we've also understood where your interest in Hyperloop is generated from, do you really think that a concept like Hyperloop can be implemented? Because more or less, we've seen a lot of criticism, especially with regards to the infrastructure cost, the regulatory hurdles, and overall public perception.
Wonderful, wonderful. Arsha, interestingly, there had been criticism for every technology which had been invented, discovered, technology usually gets invented only. So, or something which you discover, you know, and if you try to implement. So, even in simple, even if in the organizations, if you deploy a new ERP system, I'm just talking about that. So you will have criticisms.
Right.
So basically, this you can consider that you, a new technology is going to be a new. So yeah, what is ERP? ERP is actually a kind of mindset that organization has to drive. Similarly, a mobility product which has to be deployed, which is going to be effective. So of course, the visionaries have already thought about it. But the problem where is, again, I use the term PESTEL, which is the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. So you need to get a go ahead from all these verticals, and that's where the criticism is.
Right.
So you can be very good in technology, but it's not. I'm just giving an example, but either there are certain environmental considerations which are to be taken, or there are certain legal or compliance thing which has to be met, or the economic, the economic value that it
Right.
produces. That's also very important. And if everything is okay, how politically that project can be deployed. So, political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental, all of these factors are very, very important. So, criticisms are not just because of technology. So, some criticism can be from political framework, some from a legal framework, and they are also
Right.
not wrong. And this is for any kind of heavy duty projects, even for the smart cities per se. When people
Hmm.
implement smart cities, I mean, when the CCTV and the camera technology, the cam technologies were invented, and when they were getting deployed, and when people were so much, they had so much of issues regarding the personal data, personal security, and definitely a lot of things. But finally, they understood that in the control room, you can do the risk management. Similarly, even in the railways technology, every day you are getting a new version of security. In India, they have deployed what's the name of that technology? Kavach, in which basically if there's something happening wrong, you get the right kind of alert and you change the tracks, a lot of things. So such kind of things are already getting implemented in the traditional platforms as well. So the whole name of the game is change management. So when you do such kind of projects, it's very, very important that you create a report of the overall analysis and create the whole impact analysis. Why? Because it is going to impact the whole community, and community also the economic value, and how and think about what are the scenarios. Talk to the experts from all these areas, not only just the technology. Definitely technology acceleration you can always do, but all these areas. And because the economy where that particular technology is going to be deployed, that's also very important, that how this technology is going to impact that particular economy. So that kind of thing has to be worked out. So that's
Do
why the
you think
criticisms are.
incorporating a digital twin here and basically seeing how a travel from a certain place, say from Mumbai to Pune, having a digital twin in place and visualizing it, showing to these people, and of course taking into account the population, the road, the entire infrastructure, does something like this help avoid or justify the need of Hyperloop and basically just do away with the criticism?
Very, very good question. Thanks for asking this, Arshay. You have raised a very important point here. So, digital twin, again, I explained, is a virtual replica of the whole ecosystem, right? So, when you are talking about other than T vertical, the PESTL, so all these, when you talk to such kind of audience, you can display them. Okay, so this Hyperloop, basically, it is playing with X and Y. These are the points. Now there are hundreds of villages. Yeah, of course you can show them. Now, what is the compliance? So they can, okay, there are hundreds of villages here or whatever. So this is going to do that. These lands are going to be used. So what is the framework? They can plan. They can visualize. See, now what is happening is when people look at just the presentations and just some of the things or maybe some of the simulation, they don't get an overall understanding. But when they deep dive into it, just like AR/VR, when you just get deep dive, you get the thrill and feeling, right? Then only. So in life, it is very important to deep dive into the subject to get there. So I think that is definitely going to help many of the critics, especially the people from the EPC side, who are people into the construction side. Again, from the manufacturing people, because it's not just the Hyperloop technology what you are talking about. It's the whole ecosystem, right? So
Right.
just like electric vehicle. Electric vehicle is not just the electric vehicle, it's the whole ecosystem, the charging infrastructure, the people, the smart cities, all of them supporting together. So it has to run in an ecosystem, right? So yes, to some extent, people can visualize, and people who are really interested, they can deep dive into the subject, they can understand, they can visualize the subject, and also the predict the issues that can happen, and and of course, a lot of brainstorming can take place to leverage the kind of solutions. So it's very, very important that at every stage, whether it's PMC or EPC or manufacturing or even the deployment of the pipelines and the pods, every place there has to be a kind of simulation to to have the full confidence of the end user, because that end user is the only one. You are not the one who is going to certify the product. Is the end user. The end user, the more end users they collaborate, many users, just like metro technology or tram
Hmm.
technology when it was invented. Now it is a daily need. If you don't have a metro, you can't go to the job in a metro city in India. So that's what it is. So who has validated that? the end users. So same thing, we have to understand that for the Hyperloop technology also, the end users will be the first, the top level guys from all these verticals, and then finally how it is going to come down to the consumers, and how the consumers. So we have to bring that hierarchy level of validation methodology, and that can only happen when you have a true visualization of the whole technology and how it is drilling down. So yeah, I hope I could explain that.
Yes, sir. So essentially, what you're hinting at is collaboration at various levels, right?
Yes.
So now that you have, uh, like now we know about your advisory roles in various national and international consortiums. So where do you think and at what stage can this collaboration take place for Hyperloop to become a reality?
Initially, we need to just make a plan of the whole thing. Uh, the way I have seen such kind of innovative technologies, how they have worked in the past is, you need to do a complete end-to-end. Definitely, you must be having a roadmap, and based on the roadmap, you need to have a validation criteria as well. Okay, so because there are preconditions, and then there are post conditions. So partnerships, definitely partnerships are very good, but in order to reach to the level of partnerships, it has to be validated in the precondition phase. So it's important to define the preconditions, get those right kind of validations done, and then move to the post conditions. And then only you have the right kind of pre-qualifications for those kind of partnerships, whether it's a partnership for EPC, for construction side, or for the smart city side where you are planning that this is how, and also with the existing mobility industry, those kind of partnerships are also very important. That
Right,
how they are going to support your case. For
right,
example, you come out the Hyperloop, then you have a small train or something a small train, to make you reach that. So how that connectivity is going to happen? You understood? Or
yes,
people are talking about the flying taxis. Yeah. So basically, you just come out of the hyper. For example, from X to Y, you came there, and then there's a flying taxi which is taking you. So maybe in 5 minutes you came from Hyperloop, and 2 minutes you reach office, and you
right,
you travel around 300 kilometers. You understand what I mean? So no one knows that. So in 10 minutes you are at the place of 300 kilometers. It's a huge revolution.
right, absolutely.
I'm just giving this. So this is the ecosystem I'm talking about. This is the ecosystem of ecosystems. So that's where the partnership uh, has a precondition, then the right kind of validation, achieve the post conditions, then build the pre-qualifications for those partnerships, and then move forward. I think this is the right way, right approach.
Right, so it makes sense, and I think it looks like a wonderful plan to actually follow. If it's something like this is implemented, we can just have Hyperloop in the next 10, 15, 20 years probably. Or in
Why that old? Why that? No, no, it's not that far. I don't see that far. It has to be planned. Things can happen very fast. Just we need to know the right kind of pointers, and the right kind of, and we need to also have a very pointed conversations also, Arshia. Very much pointed conversations, outcome based. So if you also include outcome as a service
right,
to this whole project, this is going to be more and more beneficial. So when I say outcome as a service is, for example, this particular POC, when this particular POC is done, so what is the outcome and what services are produced out of it, and those service realizations are explained to the end users, and then the end users will actually already they will trigger the partnerships what are required. So that is going to help it. So yeah, it is a very interesting thing, but it has to be done in a very very matured, very structured, a person who knows the not only the technology but also the technology acceleration with the right kind of partnerships, with the right kind of consortiums.
right,
Maybe you may be suffering from some kind of manufacturing defects or manufacturing areas. A person who has done a digital twin for manufacturing, they will be the right people to tell you that what a kind of in the parts or the pipelines or the spare parts management, inventory, because those are the things which are very very critical. I'm talking about like hyperloop manufacturing. If you want to scale up that manufacturing in India, of course, if you want to deploy hyperloop, its manufacturing has to be done in India, right?
right,
So how that manufacturing can happen. So how the TOT can, for example, once you have done it, how the TOT can go to the main manufacturer and then the assembly manufacturers. Those are the things which are very very important to be done.
So, sir, assuming that the entire process is operating at peak efficiency,
Yeah.
when do you think can Hyperloop become a reality?
I- in a place like in
In
India,
a place like India, yes.
yeah. Why? Because India is a super massive country. It's a
Right.
very very it's a and if Hyperloop is moving at peak thing in India, I think it's gonna be amazing. But yes, I see that, but less than 10 years. Less than 10 years.
And 10
Yes,
years.
less than
Wow,
10 years.
that's
Yeah, less than 10 years. But it has the way I have explained you things. It is
right.
not up, even if you don't know Hyperloop technology, but if you know about doing things, because Hyperloop technology is, to be honest with you, is a DX, is a component of the whole this ecosystem. Because and if the ecosystem is aligned and you guys are experts in Hyperloop, making the Hyperloop thing, things will move very fast.
Right.
Because you also have to interact with the ecosystem to get things. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Nice.
Just like EV charging infrastructure, just like EV charging infrastructure has to be aligned with the EV manufacturers, how the things are happening. But they are not the EV manufacturers. They have to be aligned. How things should be, how many charging stations should be there, what is the, and then how many charging stations should be there. They have to align with the smart city authorities, right? So I hope I'm able to give you some insights that
Yes, sir.
the
It makes
collaborate
sense.
how yeah.
All right, so let's just proceed to a rapid fire session.
Sure, please, yeah.
I hope you have fun doing this.
Yeah.
Describe Hyperloop in one word.
Smart mobility. Oh,
Two words.
next generation mobility. Acha, one word.
Yeah, just one word.
Terrific.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Hyperloop or flying cars?
Interesting. Or amazing, I could say. Yeah.
This is similar to the high-speed rail versus supersonic jet that I had
Yeah.
asked before.
So I mean, so what should the word I use that? Because it's like exciting. It's very exciting. So exciting is the amazing, or exciting is the right term, I could say.
For what? For Hyperloop or flying cars?
Yeah.
You have to choose like one of two.
Okay. So for the Hyperloop, definitely I'm always on because the value is humongous. Flying taxis are actually already. I mean, people are already working towards, and Dubai has already implemented most of. So yeah, it was exciting before. Now I see that in the next 5 years is gonna be a norm, right? So no, I mean, in India, no, but outside India, definitely yes. But Hyperloop is definitely yes. So super exciting. Here I'll use two words. Super exciting.
What is the biggest myth about Hyperloop?
Myth. What should I say? Is going to kill us. I'm sorry, but yes, I heard people talking about this thing also. Uh, there are no wheels, there are no nothing. If anything goes wrong and there's a fire inside, oh, how is it's going to kill us? That's a myth.
And
That
you're
that
enclosed within a tube.
Yeah,
How is
and
it
you are
going to
you are
kill
in you are in a tube. How can people survive within a tube? And I have seen a lot of even the people from physics and science background also talking about the same thing.
us? Oh,
People who have not got into, okay, that's where this is a very beautiful amalgamation of emerging tech, physics, I mean core basic sciences and engineering. So this is an amalgamation of all of these things. So if somebody is from X background, he can't visualize the other engineering, the core engineering, and the other things, right? So that's where the whole challenge is.
right, so the final question.
Yeah.
Which country will launch the first working Hyperloop?
Oh, this is a very political kind of question. So I'll I'll, but I think I assume I don't know which country to be honest with you, but I'll always prefer that Avishkar Hyperloop does that Avishkar before as the world's most I should say efficient next generation technology that can leverage a mass community. So that's the only answer I can
Right, sir. So I think this was a wonderful conversation. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure people viewing the podcast will learn a lot too. Before we wrap up, if there is one advice that you'd like to give us youngsters who are actually working and venturing into Hyperloop, what would that be?
Number one, enormous patience,
Right.
because it is just like inventing a new science, a new technology. Okay. Second, be stronger with criticisms. Again, I repeat, be stronger with criticisms. Third, you are going to define a new pathway of
Right.
mobility. So, your mind should traverse it first. Before anyone takes that path, it's first your mind and your soul which has to be there. So, if you are into it, you have to hold it till the time it becomes successful. So, that's the reason I talked about the enormous patience, right? So, yeah.
Right. So
So, these are three things I think.
that is wonderful piece of advice.
Yeah.
It was wonderful hosting you today. I had a wonderful time. I'm using the word wonderful too many times because it was truly nice talking to you.
Yeah, yeah. Likewise, likewise. I mean, seeing you youngsters, I mean, doing such amazing things. That's why I said, I don't know which country, and I don't want to talk about it, but I know the kind of efforts that you guys have done is incredible, and we'll love to see you guys doing something very, 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 very amazing for the generations to come. Jai Hind.
Yes, sir. All right, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think that was it. It was nice talking to you, sir.
Likewise. Thank you.